Hi, Dream Team. John here. Justina is not with me right now. She's a little busy. But a couple of things I'd like to tell you all. I haven't been here all that often, and I'm outrageously nervous every time I'm planning on doing a live. But here I am. The reason is, if there's something in life that you want bad enough, you will go and do what you need to do to get things done. There's a couple of things I'd like to maybe encourage some of you, if possible. If you tell yourself in the morning after you get up 5 things. One is, tell yourself, I am the best. Number 2, I can do it. Number 3, God is with me. And number 4, I am a winner. And final, number 5, today is my day. And I think everyone has to make their own decision as to what they do in life. I find it very hard to do these lives once. I don't know why. Last night I went to bed and I couldn't fall asleep for the longest time, worrying about what I was going to say today, what I was going to talk about, or how I was going to verb everything. But I've been encouraged to talk about an accident that happened to me January 7th, 2019. Monday morning, as many of you probably know, that we are in the logging industry and is a dangerous job if you're not considering every angle and situation. You have to almost predict things before they happen and then prevent them. But I made a mistake that we all knew as a log truck driver, as the loader, that I wasn't supposed to do what I did. And I had an accident. The loader loads me 8 o'clock in the morning. He calls me on the radio, and by the way, everybody calls me Shaky. I think that is something that most of you have not heard, but you can call me Shaky to my face. That is just the honest truth. I always shake. I can't help it. Right now it's just as bad than when a cop pulls me over. I can't stand it when a cop pulls me over, but that is a whole different subject. But anyways, that Monday morning, the loader calls me out and says, come out, check your load, and pick up your ticket. And 8 o'clock in the morning in January, it's still dark. I grabbed my flashlight, did my walk around my load, and I noticed on the driver's side there was a log sticking out. So I went around the load to the passenger side, that's where the loader was, picked out my ticket, came back to the driver's side. Between the second and last bunk, I waved him and showed him what to do to pull in that one log, and he does. And as he does, and he's finished, he pulls his grapple back, and on top, he hooked a log. The log fell off towards the front of the truck first, and it landed straight up and down. And I looked at the top end, and what do you know? The top end is coming towards me, and I have about 4 foot, 5 foot of snow on one of my, to the side of my trailer, and then to the other side is my trailer. So what did I need to do? Turn around and run away from the log. Sure enough, the log hit me on the back top part of my shoulder, fracturing 8 ribs, spinal cord, puncturing one of my lungs. And as I went flying to the ground, before I even hit the ground, I was out of breath. I couldn't breathe. I thought I was going to black out, but I didn't. So with the adrenaline, I turned myself onto my back, and I couldn't scream. I couldn't catch my breath. And I said to myself, wow, big world and I can't breathe. And all I could do is lay there and move my leg sideways, thinking that finally the loader was going to see it and come out of his loader and pick me up, give me a hand to get up. Finally he did. He comes around. He's scared, as you can imagine. And he says, "Shaky, is there anything I can do for you?" And all I could do, I couldn't say nothing. All I could do is lift up my left hand, giving him the sign that I wanted him to give me a hand to get up. So he does. He says, "Are you okay?" And I think, as some of us men think that we can handle anything that is thrown at us, that's what I was thinking, I think. And I said, "Yeah, I'll be fine." So I drove my truck out of there. Of course, my wife is sitting in the truck, and I come into the truck and she don't know nothing about what's going on. So catch my breath, I was able to tell her one word at a time what had happened to me. As I'm driving out of the block, she had to help me shift gears because my right hand couldn't do it. Finally, I do get my truck out of the block, and the reason I wanted to get it out of the block is so that my truck wouldn't block all the other guys coming in behind me. So finally, the supervisor calls me and says, "Shaky," he says, "what are you doing?" Well, I said, "Driving my truck out of the block." He goes, "Why?" He says, "I got to take you to the hospital. Do you want to go to the hospital?" I said, "Yes, I want to go to the hospital. I need to go." So he came, picked me up, I parked my truck, picked me up, took me to the hospital. 3 hours later, finally the doctor had done his diagnosis and comes to me and he says, "I have good news for you." He says, "No damage." And I go, "Really? So why is this pain killing me?" But I believed him. And they gave me some painkillers. Of course, it helped. So the supervisor takes me and the wife back to the truck, and I drove 100 and some kilometers to deliver my load. Delivered my load. My wife did all the de-wrapping. De-wrapping is taking off all the wrappers. You probably know that. But anyways, she was doing that. So we get unloaded. I come back, scale out, and I was done. I couldn't move any further. So I went to a motel, spent the night. Next morning, I went back into my truck, drove it from High Perry back to Slave Lake, which is 127 kilometers. And I thought I wasn't going to be able to make it. I had a hard time, but made it home, believing the doctor had done his best. Come home. I couldn't lay down. And sorry, you guys. I can't see all of your names, but I appreciate you guys watching me. But anyways, back to my story. We came home and I couldn't lay down, so I had to sleep on a lazy boy, and I did that from Tuesday when we came home to the next Monday morning, thinking that things were going to get better. But they didn't. Finally, I said to my wife, you know, I can hear bubbles when I breathe. And that was something I had never heard in my life. And she says, you know something, I can smell blood on your breath. So we decided to go to Edmonton. We have 2 sons living in Edmonton that begged us. So we went to Edmonton. Tuesday, I had a doctor's appointment and went to go see the doctor, get a second opinion. And he right away sent me to X-ray. They X-rayed me. And the X-ray dude says to me, he says, why don't you go to the emergency and get something for your pain? I said, no. I said, I can handle it. So we laughed. Not 5 minutes later, he calls and he says to my wife, he says, you got to take your husband to the hospital. He's dying and you guys don't even know it. I wasn't my caller, but I didn't know that, neither did my wife. But anyways, he convinced us to go to the hospital. Doctor right after called too and said, guys, you need to go to the hospital because, John, you're dying. So I went to the hospital and right away they gave me a room and started working on me and found out that I had a punctured lung, 8 fractured ribs, which the doctor in Valley View said I was fine. And they informed me that they had to put a draining tube into me to drain my lung and the air that I had in between my ribs and my lung. But a long story short, guys, my point is, I find it very hard to go lives, but the reason that we ran into this ad was after the accident. My wife saw the ad on Facebook and she clicked on it. And at the time we couldn't get involved, but we've gotten involved later on, and this is something that we are taking very serious. And we hope you guys that don't have the courage to take that first step, maybe, I can encourage you to do that. That's what we are doing. And if you guys want to check out what we are doing, I will be putting that link on the bottom of the video. Love you guys. Talk to you later. I hope you enjoyed.